Hi guys, Con here. So it's been about just slightly more than a month from the day I collected my E39. So now I feel it's a good time, okay, having learned what I have learned of this car thus far. I'm still at the very beginning of my journey, but I've learned a few things about this car that I did not previously know about. So today I'm going to talk about some of the things that you will need, okay? Some of it are knowledge that you need to know, and some of the things that you need to have before you buy an E39. So first, we need to talk about money. So your budget, really, okay? So when you buy an E39, there is no question of taking loan anymore unless you like take a personal loan, which I strongly will not recommend for obvious situations lah. Okay, an E39, E39 may be an affordable car these days, but you can still call it a luxury purchase, and not a good idea really to buy a car on personal loan. So you will need to finance your car by cash, and E39 market value is the lowest as it's ever been. Currently, there are examples on the market going for advertising for like 30k lah, 50k lah, but most of the time these cars change hands for anywhere between 15 to 25k. Okay, my car here, this 520i, last batch 520i, I bought it for 24,000 ringgit on the road with insurance and you know, whatever margin markups that the dealer made. So definitely not the cheapest unit on the road, but it is thereabouts the going rate for a car of this condition as well as year of make. Of course, if you're willing to go further, there are other cheaper units of the car lah, okay? Some you can get for as low as 8,000 ringgit even. Now, that is just the buying part, okay? Regardless of whatever you buy, you will still have to budget for repairs. And I would say that comfortably, okay, in order to not be taken by nasty surprises, you should have between 5 and 10,000 ringgit on standby on top of your purchase price. So as a buffer really for your repairs. So let's say like if you have a budget of really 25,000 ringgit, no, max out, right? Then what you should really be looking for is a 15,000 ringgit car, okay? And you know, because the thing is that, right, E39 parts, they are, well, from what I've seen so far, not ridiculously expensive, but not cheap either. And when you have a lot of parts stacking up, right, you can easily rack a 5 to 10,000 ringgit bill, no problem. So the best is whatever stash of cash that you have ready to spend on your car, subtract 10,000 aside for potential restoration costs, okay? So that brings us then to the next topic. What are the things that you have to look out for in an E39? But before that, we will go back to which E39 should you buy. Now, generally, the E39 has a range of engines. The earliest batches that came out in 1996 on to 1998 had the M52 single Vanos engines. They were either the 2-liter 520i, the 2.5-liter 523i, or the 2.8-liter 528i, okay? Then in 1998, BMW introduced the M52 technical upgrade that added double Vanos to this engine. So the single Vanos engines, they had Vanos on the inlet valve, okay, intake valve. So Vanos is BMW's version of variable valve timing. And so double Vanos means they have Vanos on the exhaust side as well. So 1998, the E39 started to have double Vanos engines. So on paper, the double Vanos and single Vanos engines have the same outputs, but I believe the double Vanos engines should offer you better fuel consumption. In year 2000 or 2001 thereabouts was when BMW facelifted the E39. That is when they introduced the trademark Corona ring. Well, they call it a Corona ring, but most people call it angel eyes headlights. All right, that is when they introduced the M54 engines that consisted of the 2.2 liter version 520i that I'm having here. Then they also have the 2.5 liter 525 and the 3 liter 530i. Now, in terms of outputs the 520i here that I'm driving, right, has the same power output as the 523 M52 but lesser torque. Similarly, the 2.5 liter 525 has the same amount of power as the 528 but with lower torque as well. One thing, if you are buying a Japan spec car, take note that what we know as the 523, okay, carried the 525 badge in Japan. So if you buy a pre-2000 525 Japan spec, it is actually a 523. Right now, there are also V8 versions. There's the 535 and the 540, which I'm not going to talk about because I'm not familiar with them. But the one main difference between the V8 and 6-cylinder versions of the E39 is that the V8s had recirculating ball steering, whereas the 6-cylinder models had rack and pinion. So if you want better handling, the 6-cylinder models are the way to go. Now, in terms of reliability between the two engines, I'm not in a position to comment yet. But from a performance standpoint, I have read from overseas forums and all, right, if you can afford it, the 530i really is the one to go for in terms of overall, the balance in performance, handling characteristics, as well as fuel economy. Yes, fuel economy. I have chatted with a few of my E39 chat group people, and also a friend of mine who once upon a time had a 520i 2.2, which he converted to a 530i, and they confirm one thing: the 530i is more fuel efficient than the 520i. The reason being is because the 530i has better low-end torque, so it doesn't need as much effort as the 520i to take off. And also, the 520i has shorter gear ratios, so when you take off from standstill, the 520i actually leaps forward a little because the first and second ratios are shorter. And I believe also this car probably has a shorter final drive ratio, so to give it better acceleration, to compensate for the lack of torque versus the bigger CC engines, right? I mean, in terms of power output, the 520i that I'm driving here, 170 PS, it's pulling 1.6 tons curb weight. The power to weight ratio is actually not far off from the 184 PS F10 520i. The difference, however, is the torque, because the 2.2 520i here only has 210 Newton meters of torque, whereas an F10 520i would have 270 at its disposal and spread over a wider range of revs. So the result, when you translate it on the road, is that my 2.2 520i has no shortage in terms of top speed. This thing will pull all the way to 200 kilometers per hour, no problem. The difference, however, is the time needed to pull to the top speed, because 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, based on official BMW spec, is 10.2 seconds. And well, simply put, that is the kind of acceleration times that would see me give way to a Myvi. Yeah, so it is not fast, but I do say that, once this car gets up to speed, once you pull the revs, then it's a very happy rever. Yeah, so this M54 engine 2.2, it needs a lot of revs, but the flip side of it is that it is a very delightful engine to rev. I can rev this thing past 4,000, 5,000 RPM, and it just pulls with absolute relish. So Of course, the version that most people are after, really, when you balance road tax and all that. Yeah, so for the benefits of those of you watching from overseas, in Malaysia, our road tax increases exponentially with displacement. So this 520i 2.2 liter, I pay 551 ringgit road tax. The 525 or the 523, the 2.5 liters, pay 800 something, close to 900 ringgit road tax. The 2.8 liter 528 goes to 1,600 ringgit, and the 3 liter 530i is is 2,000 plus. The 4.4 liter 540i, it's 7 to 8,000 ringgit. So yeah, that is why some of you guys, if you are watching from other countries, yeah, that is. And I remember there was one comment in my video that expressed surprise that there's even a 520i. Yes, there is a 520i for the E39, but it is for markets like Malaysia, which discriminates against big capacity engines. Alright, so most people in our market would prefer the 525i because it gives you the best balance in terms of operating cost as well as performance. But really, the one to go for if you have the budget for would be the 530i lah. Right, so common problems with the E39 that you must be aware of. Alright, so when I got this car, the engine was misfiring, and it is a common failure. The coil packs, the spark plugs, need replacement past 100 to 150,000 kilometers. All right. Then also I had to change the accessory belt and also the valve cover gasket. Yeah, the cylinder head cover, the valve cover gasket, that had to be changed, and also I needed a new set of brake pads. I was also told that the suspension arms need to be replaced, and that is also a known, common, fast wearing wear and tear item of the E39. Not surprising really, because you see, the E39 is a car that prides itself on its ride and handling. So and the suspension setup is very complex, very intricate. There are a lot of arms to repair, and so that's one thing to do. And the other thing that is a common failure point would be the cooling system, right? The water pump, the thermostat, what's the other item? The expansion tank, the hoses, all require periodic replacement, and it is best to be proactive about it. The other major failure point is the desal valve. The desal valve is found in versions of the E39 or any BMW engines with double one-offs, right? So it is like a valve that opens and closes to vary the length of the intake manifold. Now, the construction of that valve is the problem, because it has a little plastic pin that is known to dislodge with time and go into the engine. Yeah, so that is one component that must be proactively replaced, and that is something that I need to check on at a further stage in time. So the good thing about the E39 is that there are a number of YouTube channels, all right, many of them American YouTube channels. I'm subscribed to at least 2 of them, Nathan's DIY Garage and Beamerzite. Link I'm putting in the description section below. So they have a lot of interesting videos of the E39, E46, that generation of BMWs, showing you how to DIY on certain maintenance items, and that's something that I intend to take up later. So currently, this car, right, I have got it restored to a state, okay, from purchase. I got it fixed to a state where I don't worry about its day-to-day running. I don't worry that it will break down on me. But now, moving on to phase 2, I need to then restore this car to a stage where I'm confident of driving it hard enough for one of my Genting runs. So that is that is next, and that is where I need to replace the suspension arms, the wearing out suspension arms, as well as one of the front left absorber is leaking, so that needs to be replaced as well. Once that is sorted, I would then be looking into the cooling system, taking a closer look at the cooling system, the DISA valve, right, just to run a quick inspection and to see how far along before these items will need to be replaced. Okay, the other item of concern with the E39 is the automatic transmission, and I've pointed out this before. In the official handbook, owner's handbook provided by BMW AG from Germany, it states that the transmission fluid is a lifetime fill, does not need to be replaced. But the local distributor at the time, Otto Bavaria, inserted an extra card to remind owners to change the transmission fluid at 60,000 kilometer intervals. And well, during my pre-purchase inspection with Werns, we got the car jacked up and we saw that the transmission, that drain plug, has been opened before, and there's a sticker here that tells me that the transmission fluids were changed 18,000 kilometers ago. So yep, this car has received its transmission, has had its transmission fluids replenished, but that is something that you need to check on. And I've been told that if your transmission the transmission fluids have been replaced before, keep going, all right, keep replacing it periodically. But if you happen to buy a car that never had its fluids replaced before, then don't. Because what I've been told is that if your ATF was never replaced and you suddenly go and replace it, you will actually accelerate the wear of your ATF. So before I bought this car, right? I mean, I've wanted to buy this car for the longest time, and you know, before this, I was always put out by people here say that, you know, the E39 is a scary car to maintain and all that. And you know, now that I've bought it and I've paid for a few maintenance bills, I've come to, well, I may need to revise this conclusion in the future, but who knows. So what I've seen thus far is that this is not at all a scary car to maintain, all right? But I'm at the same time glad that I did not take the plunge earlier than I have, because I am well aware that, you know, in my earlier financial state, as recently as 5 years ago, if I had bought this car, it would have bankrupted me for sure. Okay, so this is not a car that I would advise you to buy if, you know, you are just struggling to put money together for the down payment of a Proton Saga, and you know, you can just about scrape enough for, you know, to pay the installments of a Proton Saga every month. No. But if you are in a position that you can afford to buy and maintain a 100 over 1,000 car, then this is all right. Because you look at it this way: if you buy an E39 cash, okay, whatever lah, 50k, 20 over k and all that, then that's it. That is the end of you don't have a bank to pay off every month. So what I have done thus far is I've spent 24,000 ringgit cash, and that first 7,000 ringgit that I have spent on repairing the car, which is 3,000 ringgit on repairs and 4,000 ringgit on a set of rims and tires. So that 7,000 ringgit I spent on credit card, and I'm paying on a 12-month installment plan. And this kind of approach is okay because I don't have a monthly installment to worry about for this car. Don't try this if you are buying a used car on financing, okay? Because yeah, you already have your monthly installment to pay, and then you top up a 12-month installment thing. That one, no. But this one I'm doing is because I don't have another installment on this car to worry about. So that is still okay. So yeah, a lot of you have been asking me, hey Con, when are you going to do Genting Run your E39? When are you going to do, you know, a further test drive report of this car? Wait for it. I'm going to... The reason why I have not done it is because the car currently is not in a condition that I'm fully satisfied with. So yeah, so once I got that sorted out, once I got this car fully sorted out from a mechanical standpoint, then yeah, I'll be back with a more comprehensive report. Oh, one more thing, when it comes to the E39, the other thing also you need to be aware of, that there are interior repairs that you have to be prepared for. See, for example, mine has a classic roof sagging problem. Some of these switch gears also don't take very well towards abuse, right? They can, like, I have 2 broken switches on my climate control already, right? And my seat adjustment switch also, one of it is broken. But yeah, overall, the other reason I bought this car is because it has one of the best looking interiors that I have managed to see from among many units that I've surveyed. So that was the reason why I was ready to pay a bit of a premium for this car. Oh guys, one more thing. If you're buying and owning one of these cars, you can't do it on your own. You need your support group. So after buying this car, I was very quickly inducted to an E39 owners WhatsApp chat group, and these guys have been very helpful in my ownership journey, recommending workshops, sources of spare parts and all that. So yeah, a car like an E39 is something that is best experienced when you have a group of friends that also own the same car. That way you can exchange notes, share DIY tips and all sorts of things. So that probably is one of your most important resource if you won't choose to own an E39 or any of these old school BMWs or Mercedes or Volvo cars. Okay, cheers. Okay guys, Christmas is coming soon, and a couple of months after that will be Chinese New Year. So during that time, I'm sure we like to have, you know, top up some cookies in our household. So my wife and I, we are selling a bottle of these cornflakes cookies for 25 ringgit each. All right, these are cornflake cookies. I'm told that, okay, they are not gluten-free, so those of you with diet restrictions, watch out for that. They are not gluten-free. We use eggs in the making of these cookies, but no preservatives. So tastes good, healthy stuff. Follow the instructions in the description section below if you're interested to order. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. If you like my content, click on the subscribe button. Press the bell icon to toggle the frequency of updates every time I upload a new video. And don't forget also to check out the channels of Bobby, Bing and Fadil, okay, of the Horizon team. And until my next video, thanks for watching. Bye for now.